So Franklin, this work session, regular remote meeting of the Township Council is called to order. Madam Clerk?
In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act of the State of New Jersey and NJAC 5:39-1.1 through 1.7, adequate notice of the Tuesday, October 27, 2020 work session regular remote meeting of the Franklin Township Council was made by the posting on the front doors of the municipal building, posted on the Township's website, and electronically transmitted to the officially designated newspapers indicating that this work session regular remote meeting would take place via WebEx at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, October 27th, 2020.
Thank you. Mr. Chase, Councilman Chase, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? You're muted.
Why do you always ask me?
Because you were there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, I hope.
Good point. Thank you. Deputy Mayor Onijaka, if you could lead us in the invocation, please.
Oh God, the creator and the redeemer of all the faithful, hear our supplications, and through thy infinite love and mercy, graciously grant us the strength and power in our thoughts and decisions to be for the benefit of all people at all time. Amen.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll.
Councilman Barson,
Here.
Councilman Chase,
Here,
Councilwoman Francois,
Here.
Councilman Galtieri,
Here.
Mayor Kramer,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Onijaka,
Yeah.
Councilwoman Pruitt,
Here.
Councilman Vasanella, Councilman Wright.
And Councilman Wright called me earlier and told me he would not be able to make it today. All right, we're on to accommodations and proclamations. And for those of you watching, it looks like we've greatly expanded our council component, but actually these are people here for a type of proclamation. I'm going to do them out of order. I'm going to start with the COVID response recognition. Just for show, those of you who received a mask, you could just for a moment. So this has been a very trying time for all of us. There have been some people who have stood out amongst others, and they've been rewarded with masks that have the Franklin logo on it. No elected officials were chosen. No one who's running right now was chosen. We're trying to keep this apolitical. And I'm sure I've missed people. I know I've missed people. This is not a conclusive list, and there will be other masks given out at further council meetings. But I thought at least for this first one, we would have some of the people on from staff for the work they've done as staff. Safi Kalan, Krista Hedas, sorry, and John House. Safi has, between Safi and Krista, all the communications from the town, the posters, the mixels, etc., are the work of them, and they've really been really huge in getting that communication out. And communication is so very important in this crisis. So if the two of you have anything to say.
Just want to say thank you. Make sure you're wearing your masks. COVID does not care if you are red, blue, black, or white. And vote, vote, vote.
Krista?
I just want to say thank you, and Mayor, you are actually where I get a lot of the information to share. So
Well, thank you. And then John House, if everyone could be, John House is our, we're getting some background. John House is our Office of Emergency Management Manager. He's been doing an incredible job handling COVID emergencies, especially at the very beginning. It was just a nonstop, and I would have to say a very stressful situation. You know, we've learned a lot. We know a lot better of what to do now. But at the beginning, it was very, very difficult. So thank you, John. And do you have anything you wanted to say?
Again, just to echo what everybody else is saying, thank you for the recognition. I appreciate that. I'm just one person on this team of people. There's, like you said, there's a lot of other people, especially Bob Vornlocker, Phil Rizzo, Brian Farrar, Carl Hawk. I mean, there's so many people, and I'm forgetting and not naming a lot of them. But I'm just, you know, having to be the leader of the team right now. And it's been a long road, and hopefully we're coming to the end of it, but, you know, who knows until it actually happens. But I thank you for the recognition. I appreciate that.
Well, it's well deserved. Next is Public Safety Director Covella Sproul, who's actually, it's being given to her as she represents public safety, so that while she isn't truly in charge of all of them, but she's representing at this moment the police, fire, and first aid. So all of the first responders, you know, we're all staying home, or I hope we are, or staying home as much as possible, but they have to go out to protect us and sometimes go in harm's way, not from just the usual harm's way they go into, but because now there's COVID out there too. So Director Sproul.
On behalf of all of public safety, I just wanted to say thank you and acknowledge everyone here. We could not do it without, you know, the endless work and cooperation and coordination with John House, Bob Vornlocker, and all of you here. As you said, every day our first responders, they went to work. You know, and it wasn't always easy because of the unknown, but you know what? We're learning more each day, and we're still here to serve regardless. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Next is Michael Steinbrook. Michael has been just, I couldn't have done a lot of the information sharing without him. He's been indispensable. That's the word I was looking for. But particularly what he did with the Get Tested Franklin campaign was really huge. And I just wanted to thank him. Michael, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Nope, just a quick thank you back, Mr. Mayor, for all your hard work keeping our community informed. What in the world? My wife is giving me flowers here. There we go. Can you see them? Look at that. So, no, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, so you know what? I just appreciate how, you know, the vast majority of our town came together in a time of crisis that isn't over yet. I'm proud of our council. I'm proud of you, Mr. Mayor, and all the people that I had the privilege to work with, including the, you know, Alex Perazzi and the Franklin Township Interfaith Council. So many different things were going on and continue to go on. I just, you know, I would have gone nuts sitting here on my couch. So I feel fortunate just to have been able to kind of get active and do some things. So thanks for the recognition, and I'll pay it forward.
Thank you, Michael. I'd now like to go to Rotorclip, E&J Equities, Jonathan Sloss, and I guess Craig. I'm sorry, and Craig. I guess Craig couldn't be on, but they not only do they give to the food bank, which is huge in this time of need, but they have a billboard, and I'm going to tell the story. When they wanted to build a billboard, the town was not particularly friendly about that. And this is the digital billboard on 287. And we gave them a very, very hard time about that. In fact, we said no. Eventually, they were able to build their billboard. And when COVID came around and we need to advertise that we were doing testing, I swallowed my pride. I gave them a call, and there was no hesitation. No, I told you so. No even smirk about it. It was just instant. Yes, of course we will do that. And that was momentous. It got the word out that we were doing testing, and it's a great location for it because we're willing to test anyone from anywhere. It doesn't just have to be Franklin. So we did get people from other towns, and that's great. So I wanted to thank you for doing that and for the money you donate. I also got in a little ask there if they could donate to the food bank. And again, not a moment's hesitation, it happened. So, Jonathan, do you have anything to say?
Again, we all live in this community together, and regardless of anything in the past, when Rotorclip's asked and E&J is asked, we will always say yes. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to participate.
You're welcome. I see Craig is on voice only.
I am. Hit something on my phone, and I apologize, but yes, thank you very much to the whole community for allowing us to participate and support you. Mayor, when I received that phone call, I was honored with Jonathan to be able to help this community, and we will do it anytime, any moment, 24, 7 days a week to help Franklin Township. Thank you once again.
That's terrific. Thank you. So I'm going to let Frank Hasner, who runs the food bank, introduce the next guest so that he can get a plug into the food bank when we do it. But Zane Hawk is father is someone I called Mohammed, and he gave very generously to the food bank, again, without a moment's hesitation. So, Frank.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And really, I think everyone needs to know that every evening in the beginning of COVID, I would get a call from Mayor Kramer telling me to call, or suggesting that I call someone from the business community, and that they would be willing to help the food bank. And I could tell you, Dr. Hawk was the first person that donated, but again, you see Rotorclip, and I will tell you that there are too many to count. I know people are a little under stress these days, but I think there's consolation in the fact that this community has come together. The food bank is seeing unprecedented numbers, more and more people, but we've been able to handle it through the efforts of the public. So is it Zane Hawk? Would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, thank you, Frank. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think what we're really seeing in this crisis is a lot of people, from the emergency services, in the office administration, in the food bank, and yourself, Frank, who, had these skills and have been working on them for a long time and are coming through in a time of need. So, we're proud to support that effort and to give back to our Franklin community. So thank you.
Thank you. People I invited who I guess couldn't get on or were busy at this time. Others were Rabbi Friedman. Rabbi Friedman has been running our testing that has tested well over 5,000 people so far. And he basically, when you ask for anything, he says yes. Alex Karazi has also been chipped in with that effort and has really taken a burden off of me and the rest of the town by helping to organize that. And he represents the Interfaith Council. And then Laura Desai of the International School on Laurel Avenue. Early on, we really needed PPE, and she canvassed people that she knew and her community, and they came up with a lot of PPE in the beginning that we just really were desperate for. There's some others who I called but haven't gotten back to me. Hopefully I'll have them on at another time. But again, thank you all. Wear the badge of Franklin with honor. I really can't say how much I appreciate what all of you have done. And I apologize to the people I haven't gotten to yet. Hopefully I will get to you. If you think I've missed you, I'd be glad to hear from you. No good turn goes unpunished. I'm sure I missed someone I really should have, and I'm sorry about that. But thank you all. And now, if those of you not on council could sign off, that would be great. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Take care.
Greg Slass, I'm sorry you cannot be on council. Maybe you can run and maybe we'll vote for you. Mr. McQueen there you go. Okay. All right. Mr. Bassanelli, you're on twice for some reason, but that's okay. Maybe your phone is still on. There you go. Okay. So we're now on to the Red Ribbon Week proclamation. Who has that?
I can read, Mr. Mayor, I can read it.
That'd be great.
Okay. Whereas the Township of Franklin values the health and safety of all its citizens, and whereas substance abuse is particularly damaging to one of our most valuable resources, our children, and a contributing factor in the 3 leading causes of death for teenagers: accidents, homicides, and suicides. And where it is the goal of Red Ribbon Week and the Township of Franklin to involve families, schools, businesses, churches, law enforcement agencies, and the service organizations in all aspects of this campaign and establish an atmosphere that supports awareness, education, and ongoing initiatives to prevent illegal drug use. And whereas the Red Ribbon Week campaign theme promotes family and individual responsibilities for living health, drug-free lifestyles without illegal drugs or the illegal use of legal drugs. And whereas there are many activities planned during the Red Ribbon Week campaign in the Township of Franklin, now therefore be it proclaimed that Philip Kramer, Mayor of the Township of Franklin, on behalf of the Township Council, hereby proclaims October 23rd through 31st, 2020 as Red Ribbon Week. That's it.
Thank you. And you reading the proclamation, you reminded me that wasn't just me with the recognition of the response to COVID. That was all of council recognizing them. I didn't want that to be misunderstood. Okay, we're now on to public discussion. Do we have a motion to open to public?
Mr. Mayor, before we do that, I think there's an additional proclamation.
That proclamation has been postponed.
Okay, then I motion to open for public discussion. Thank you.
Second.
Moved and seconded, and thank you, Mr. Galtieri. I should have at least mentioned that we were skipping it. Moved and seconded. All in favor of opening for public discussion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. Mr. McQueen.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Anybody from the public wishing to speak, we ask that you go into the chat window if you're dialed in through the computer and use the raised hand feature. If you're on the phone, you may press *3 to raise your hand. We ask that when you're done speaking, that you press *3 or lower your hand when we're done. Mr. Mayor, I do have one comment right now. I am going to unmute Saba.
Yes, Manager Saba.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you so much. thankful for all the things that everybody is doing in the township. And I heard a lot of good things about what is happening in the township. And I really would like personally to be involved in some of these activities. And I would approach people who were here to see if in what way I can help on ground level and food bank and everything else. It has been a long time, and I have been, as everybody, I have been also in quarantine. Unfortunately, I haven't picked up corona, but I have been trying to do as much activity as possible. I am really, I just wanted to check on the state of green energy aggregate proposal that was presented by Matt Smith to the environmental committee, and I don't know if he has moved forward or still sitting in the committee. Also, I see that this work is being started, some road work and work has started, and particularly also in Emerson Road, which is in very bad shape, especially for walkers. So happy to see that maybe in November we are going to the work be done to repave the Emerson. But I really would hope that the repayment, the work that is being done in a way that is not going, is not superficial, because last time they did it, or but very soon after, relatively soon after, for the road work, it was breaking up and we had problem with it. But I hope this time is good, but I'm looking forward to see that. In the meantime, I have heard from a number of problems in township that has really disturbed me. And one of them, maybe all of you know, that property that had waited for 2 years to get CO. That's really disturbing. I know that this is in court now. I know that probably you said we can't talk about it. But it is disturbing to me, first and foremost, that something like that would happen in the town that I live and I didn't know about it. And I'd be really disturbed that basically I can say it. To me, it has been absolutely, unquestionably racism. And I hope that our township, despite the fact that you can talk about this, we are going to look a serious look at this. And this started picking my attention when there was a demonstration with Black Lives Matter in the township. I think it was in April or May or April. And I saw a lot of young people there. And I saw the vehemence and energy and also anger that I saw in them. I said, what's going on? So I joined, I was there with them, but it was incredible, very powerful, great young people talking about the issues and what they need and what they have. And I know that we have a new chief of police that I have talked to people, and people are very happy with this chief of police. She's doing a lot of work, and I'm very grateful, and thank you for bringing her on. But these things shouldn't happen. I'm not somebody who would ever talk about taxes and money and all that, because I think we have to pay taxes in order to take care of our communities. But I don't want our taxes to be paid for hundreds of thousands of dollars for misconduct in the community. That's unconscionable. That's egregious. It's hurtful and painful. And we shouldn't have that type of, I cannot imagine that this township, people go to bed at night and they don't feel secure in the place that they are, and they live and they pay taxes and everything. So I really would like to see the township itself does something about this problem, and really fundamentally, not superficially, sending somebody to a class for 2 hours or 2 days or a month so they learn some good language. when they haven't changed. Maybe we should have an evaluation of people who are here and see where they are in their thinking. And I think after Corona, we have been exposed, the whole country has been exposed to its misconduct and dysfunctionality. And I want this township to be a leader of cleaning up. I really would like to see that. And thank you for paying attention. And all of this comes out of me with much love for everyone. And it's very hard for me to see that in this township, there are children, people, that they are doing the best they can to survive, and they are being attacked and being disrespected.
Thank you, Ms. Saba.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Does anyone else wish to speak? Forgot to mention we're limited to 5 minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to unmute everybody at this time and ask one last time if anybody would like to speak. So give me 1 second. Anybody from the public wishing to speak, please indicate at this time. Mr. Mayor, I hear no one.
Okay, do you have a motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second, and all in favor of closing public discussion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. I'm looking back at the attendee list. I see no hands up. Public discussion is closed. We're on to council reports. The order will be Councilwoman Pruitt, Councilman Vasanella, Councilwoman Francois, Councilman Ambasarian, Councilman Galtieri, Deputy Mayor Onajaka. Councilwoman Pruitt.
Thank you. Like Ted, Councilman Chase, I feel like I always go first or second in these. I guess it's just where my order is when I pop up on your screen, Mayor. I don't have too much to report. We did have financial oversight, and I will leave it to the mayor to report out on that. I did want to mention for some of our seniors, senior freeze has been extended this year. You have until December 31st to apply. So I know there was some confusion with the budget, but I did want to let the seniors know, if you have any seniors in your life in the state, let them know that they still can apply if they haven't done so. It is open until the 31st. Obviously, the pandemic is still very much here. If you're getting the text messages or the emails, you're seeing that our numbers are not insignificant here in town or across the state. So please continue to be mindful as things get colder, and our natural instinct is to move indoors and congregate with people. It's still very much an issue. And we just want everyone to be safe. And I apologize to the resident that did speak. I had some audio issues, so I'm not sure I caught everything. But I would emphasize what I think we all have been emphasizing, especially this year. And, I'll speak a little bit on behalf of my colleagues, but mostly for myself, that we all are committed to making this a place for everyone to live, and we will not abide by any actions or activities that threaten residents, because this is a wonderful place to live, and everyone should go to bed feeling safe and secure and welcome in Franklin Township. And I know that's been my aim. And in addition to the work I've done with public safety and Director Sproul and kind of pushing that agenda, it's also, it goes hand in hand, that any marginalized person or person that feels that they are a minority or marginalized is welcome in this town. And we will support them and love them, because that's the Franklin way. That being said, that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. And in my list, I forgot to mention Councilman Chase, who will come before Deputy Mayor Onajaka. Next will be Councilman James Vasanella.
Thank you, Mayor. Everything Councilwoman Pruitt just said about all are welcome in Franklin Township. We had a Public Works meeting today evening. Councilman Will, I think, is going to give us a more in-depth review of the meeting. We are moving forward quite a bit of paving and a lot of infrastructure work. Already reviewing projects that which we will pick up this fall. I wanted to mention a couple days, I should say, late last week, I had the privilege to be at an event at our community resource building on Hamilton Street. I'm gonna let Councilman Barson speak a little bit more about that, since he was the one who helped facilitate what was a wonderful, generous gift by an organization that I led, has surfaced in Franklin. I'm learning all about them. I'm eager to have them more involved in the town. They made a $5,000 contribution to help our youth in the Hamilton Street area, and their efforts will not go unnoticed. And from what I understand, they were very impressed with what we're doing and trying to do different programs for the youth. And Rob, I'm sure you have more to say about that. It was a wonderful event. We didn't have a land, or we're not having a land use this month, probably. We're back on it at that time. Again, I know Councilwoman mentioned it also. This pandemic, unfortunately, seems to be jumping back up at us. Just careful. Winter months are coming, and stay stationary and inside, but please caution. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Basson.
No, I just want to make sure, I'm sorry, Mayor, Clerk, I believe I was on mute before when you first started the meeting, so I'm not sure if I responded, but you could, I guess. Okay, thank you. Apologize.
Thank
I'm
you,
sorry,
Councilman.
Mayor.
We were a little broken up, but I think we heard you. Councilwoman Kimberly Francois.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I just wanted to make an announcement in case people out there haven't heard that we have some, through the CARES Act, we do have a micro enterprise loan program for small businesses that reside in the East Franklin area. And it's on the first come, first served basis. You can look on our website and see what the criteria is to be eligible for the funding. And the maximum that could be, you could be eligible for that we could give out is $10,000. So I wanted to make that announcement. Also wanted to say that we're gonna have a pumpkin parade. I believe it's this Thursday and Friday coming up over at the Senior Center. So if you have any little children that want to be a part of the parade, and I'm sure our township manager will give more details on that, make sure we let our kids have some fun during this holiday season for Halloween, even though we're in a pandemic. I think it's going to be social distancing and drive-bys and cars, so it should be safe and it should be fun. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Francois. Councilman Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As my fellow councilman Vasnella mentioned, we had a great event last week on the Wednesday, the 21st, at the Community Relations Bureau. One of the IT associations, Northeast chapter, is giving out some contributions to local communities, and they chose Franklin Township's Community Relations Bureau because of the activities, the community engagement that they are generating to mainly help kids out of after school kids in engaging some tuition programs, as well as the physical exercise programs, counseling, and so on and so forth. It was a great event, well covered by the two newspapers in town. And then, we posted some of those pictures on Facebook. They were so pleased. They came back again late last week and told us that they got some extra money that they'd like to bring it to the township again. I'm trying to coordinate that donation for the Franklin Township schools, public schools. Spoken to Superintendent John Valley, and I think they are running a program called Road to Success, and they have some need for acquiring a printer, a bigger poster printer. So that's going to cost $3,000 to $4,000, and I think we are going to be receiving that donation most likely later on this week or next week. So, our thanks go to the IT Serve, that is the association. It's a nationwide organization of about 1,200 IT companies. The Northeast chapter is the one that is donating the money to Franklin Township. Our hope is that they would be impressed by the use of their funds by our CRB as well as public schools. They would come back next year and the year after and continue to get involved in our community. That's about that event. I did attend the other two committee meetings, the financial oversight as well as public works, and the mayor and my fellow councilman Galtieri would be speaking about that. Other than that, nothing more to report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Emberson. Councilman Will Galtieri.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So first I'll start with, again, a thank you to all our staff and all those in the community that have helped with the COVID-19 response. As the mayor said, there are many, many more out there that we know of that we'll be recognizing hopefully in the coming weeks and months. Many people have gone way above and beyond the call to help, but thank you especially to our staff that have helped keep things going and getting the message out and filling in roles that they normally wouldn't be doing or doing on a daily basis. So thank you, everybody. As mentioned, we had DPW, so our Department of Public Works meeting. So just real briefly, next week starts a blitz of paving for certain streets in the Academy and Emerson Road area, Gloucester, and several others. So the goal is to finish everything for the season by next week, if not into the following week, if there's a little carryover due to weather or anything. But so please be patient. That will complete this year's paving, and then next year's paving projects out of this year's budget will start with the Eastern Farms area of Culver, Johnny Bush, and one other one out there. So those will start up, as well as Berger will be done in the spring, and a handful of others. So we'll keep everybody posted about those. In addition to that, there's a bunch of other infrastructure work being done with curbs and some stormwater work. So that'll continue on. One of them to note is corner of DeMott and Amwell will be cleaned up. And there's a goal of realigning the road just a little bit to add a turn lane finally into the post office, I believe. So, and maybe into the municipal building. I think that might be too far up, but at least into the post office, so that should help. And finally formalize that right-hand turn lane into a little further at Amwell and DeMott, so you're not driving through potholes as you're trying to make a right-hand turn. So stay tuned. So that'll be coming soon. And finally, the leaf pickup will be starting on Monday and continuing until the first week of December. The township manager will is going to share or has mentioned that the map for which week your leaves will get picked up is available on the municipal website. Zone 1, of course, starts next week, and then it'll alternate between Zone 1 and Zone 2. Again, you can go on the municipal website to find out which zone you're in, so you know when the leaves are being picked up. And finally, Well, one other note from this meeting, a lot of water work has been done. So Brookline and Berkeley had their water mains replaced. The paving, similar to how Willow was done this past year, paving will be done next spring once they're settling and allow for settling the roads, so then we can get a good smooth surface. So your roads will be paved. It'll be in the spring. And if you see fire hydrants with bags on them, they are in the process of being repaired or replaced. That's part of our annual preventative maintenance. So we check our fire hydrants so we make sure they're ready in case of an emergency. And that is part of the process, that if they're broken, we tag them and go and replace them or repair them. Finally, have a safe Halloween. This year is tough, but I know that there's some kids out there probably excited to get out, walk around. There's guidelines on, I believe, the municipal website, as well as the the state COVID-19 website, on how to safely give out candy and treats and go trick-or-treating. But have a safe night. It's on a Saturday, so you get a little more time. And if you haven't had a chance, please drive through the municipal complex tomorrow and Friday for the pumpkin parade. But also, just our staff has done an exceptional job decorating, and it's nice to see they got a little chance to bring some cheer and happiness and be creative in especially these times. So please take a look. I drove through on Saturday, and it's a very nice job that they did. So kudos to the staff. Everybody stay safe. There is still a pandemic going on, but please stay safe. Wear your mask if you can, and don't forget to vote by next Tuesday. By next Tuesday. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Chase. You're muted. Councilman Chase, you're muted.
I was unmuted, but you must have muted me.
No, I didn't.
Flashing light pedestrian sign at Union and Laurel Avenue in Kingston is installed and working, which we've been waiting for since it was first recommended almost a year ago. We had to wait for some county work. I attended the Central Jersey Transportation Forum meeting on Monday. I don't have much to report from there, as I usually don't. There were some interesting things about traffic impacts of COVID-19, the percent of people staying home is measured, I think, basically from GPS reporting of vehicles equipped from it, peaked at 45% in April. By June, it was down to 29%, and now maybe to 25%. You can see there's still a substantial number of people staying home, which they described as not traveling more than a mile from home. And the average distance traveled got as low as 10 miles in March, and it's now up to 35. I-78 traffic, they said, is now above last year by August. So I think that's everything I have to. Oh, yeah, the Environmental Commission is very interested in having green roofs, where you have grass and flowers planted in a layer of earth on a roof, and this decreases the runoff from rain and also cools the building in summer and warms it in winter, retains heat in winter. The Environmental Center off Bunker Hill Road needs a new roof, so the Environmental Commission was very interested in having a green roof on that building since it is an environmental center. However, when this was discussed at the Open Space Committee meeting, the fact that it would take several more months to go through the usual procedures to get specifications designed and bids put out and so forth. So it would put it in the middle of winter, whereas going to already pre-qualified cooperative bidding cooperatives, as the manager has already done, we could start very soon. So the Open Space Committee recommended that we go ahead with a conventional roof, but we will be looking for another building to put a green roof on, and to put a strong suggestion to use this in the new stormwater ordinance that we're required to have passed by the beginning of March of next year. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, you're muted.
So those of you who guessed 8:47, I'm sorry, 7:47 for when the mayor messes up, you're the winners. Deputy Mayor Charles Only-Jaka.
Thank you, Mayor. The 4-Day Foundation is collecting school items which will be distributed to less privileged Franklin. Actually, they've started distributing the school items. At the same time, they need more donations and help. The 4-Day Foundation just started after the death of our chairman. So the family started is gradually growing. They are contributing a lot to society. This is one of the things you know. The second one is encourage all eligible voters go out and vote, send in ballots. This election is a challenge. So that's what I thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Okay, for my comments, first there was a financial oversight meeting last night, and we reviewed the audit, which the council has been sent a copy of and asked to sign off on the comments. On this audit, there were no material weaknesses or deficits. It was a clean audit. We were complimented quite vigorously on the health of our fund balance, sometimes referred to as a surplus. Basically, it's the money we have at the bank, and commented about how many towns are really struggling now with that. Franklin has this money in the bank at this time that we need it. He also commented that the water utility was healthy, and that that we have a very, very stable financial position. He made one comment about something we need to clean up on our books, a single property that we've not received some payments on, that needs to be investigated and properly understood. We went over the 2020 best practices list. So this is a list that the state sends out every year. And in order to get your next year's full state fund, you need to, in this case, there were 29 questions and you had to get at least 16 of them you had to answer yes to. And we answered 27 of 29 yes. So we're doing extremely well there. The CARES Act, we also discussed the CARES Act. So in, what was it, June, I think, the federal government gave counties of over 500,000 people money to help through the COVID situation. That's, I believe, 9 counties in the state of New Jersey met that criteria. Somerset County does not have that many people, so we didn't get the money. So now they finally come out and distributed the money to towns individually. And Franklin is being awarded $890,000. It ranged from about 890,000 to 4,000 for some of the smaller towns. We're getting the most in Somerset County, in part being because we are the largest town. We're going to be using it for COVID expenses. One of the COVID expenses that we have is because our health department now is really devoted almost exclusively, not entirely, but almost exclusively to COVID. That expense is something that we can write off with, not write off, but pay for or receive monies from this grant. We think we'll be able to receive the entire $890,000 to help out our bottom line. And then there was one last item, police turnover. We're hiring people. We have a designated force strength of 108 officers. When people retire, we hire new officers. We promote accordingly when people leave positions. We have a known position that will be leaving in June. It's written in stone that that's going to happen. If we don't fill, there's 4 lieutenants, and that's a lieutenant position. There are 4 lieutenant positions available. Since that position is currently held now, it would be useful to fill that position. It would be useful for the force to fill that position now. So we are, the Financial Oversight Committee, after some discussion, decided to, that they were in favor of that. Mr. Manager, do you need any other direction on that, or?
No, I do not.
Okay. So, we want it's very important at this time to have proper leadership. Without proper leadership or holes in leadership, mistakes can be made. It is through leadership and discipline that things happen correctly, and council or financial oversight thought that was important. Okay, now for the rest of my comments. Councilman Galtieri mentioned Halloween. Franklin does not set any special rules for this Halloween. There's no curfew, etc.
Mr. Mayor, I almost hesitate to correct you, but we have a municipal ordinance that establishes a curfew for Halloween.
Oh, we do? Like standing?
8 p.m.
Oh, okay.
It begins on Thursday night, 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night.
But it's nothing special for COVID.
No, it has nothing to do with COVID. We just have a municipal ordinance for many, many, many years that establishes a curfew for Halloween for those under the age of 18, unless they're accompanied by a parent or guardian.
Okay, thank you. So the councilman mentioned some guidelines. I'll go over them very briefly. The guidelines are to limit your groups to current household members. Consider staying relatively local and limit the number of houses on your route. For those putting out trees, a good option is to limit interaction and wear a mask. A better option is to leave a tree pole on the porch or patio or in the driveway. And the best option would be to arrange individual packed candies so that you can, so people won't have to touch other candies. Wear masks, and I don't mean the Halloween type, the COVID type. Bring hand sanitizer with you and use it often, and avoid large indoor or outdoor parties. Property taxes. So November 1st is time to pay the next quarter. The state has not come down or even whispered about any extension this time. So the usual extension or grace period applies. So by November 10th, your taxes have to be in or you receive a penalty. So November 1st through November 10th. I guess you can pay early. COVID testing. We tested 393 people this past Sunday at the middle school on Hamilton. It will be available again this coming Sunday from 11 to 6, and every Sunday until prior to Thanksgiving. We may step it up a little in the week coming to Thanksgiving. Flu shots are provided. Flu shots do not protect you from COVID. The flu shots are still important this year. And then tomorrow, we will be starting, I say we, friendly COVID urgent care. We'll be testing in schools. We hope to arrange that to happen, kind of facilitated that happening. We're going to be testing in schools to children whose parents have granted permission to do that. No child's going to be tested if the parents don't want them to be tested. And this is to try to catch any outbreaks in the schools and stifle those outbreaks as soon as they happen. This has been incredibly more difficult than I thought to arrange. Multiple meetings. There's a lot of technicalities, but this is going to happen. COVID itself, the numbers are up today, or have been up for the last several days. We're up to 14 new cases in Franklin reported to us today. If you exclude, there's a recent outbreak in a single long-term facility. If you exclude that facility, we have not had 14 cases in a day since late May. So this is really to be taken seriously. Statewide, today, or yesterday, when it's reported today, there were 957 hospitalizations for COVID. We've not seen that since early July. The highest it got to was 8,300. It got down to 412, and now it is up to almost 1,000 again. Please take this seriously. Please. I can't emphasize it enough. Keep your distance. I get COVID fatigue too. There's times I say, please just let it be over. But you can't stop. You got to keep going. But you're not only yourself, but your family and the rest of the town healthy. Voting. This is going to be quite a challenging voting year. Do you have that graphic I sent you, Mr. Gornacker? So there are going to be 7 voting locations in Franklin. That's down from our usual, 16, Madam Clerk? Anne Marie? We usually have 16 voting locations. You're muted. Anne Marie, you're muted.
We have 16 normally, but we're down to 7.
Okay. Mr. Bornlacher, that's great. So on the right of your screen are these 7 locations, and I'm going to do this. What this graphic lists is where you usually vote and where you're going to vote this time. And I'm going to do it this way. If you voted at Greekstown, you're going to vote at Greekstown. If you voted at Consolata Missions, now known as the BOE building, that's where you're going to vote. If you voted at Sarapath, you're going to vote at Sarapath. If you voted at the community center, you're going to vote at the community center. If you voted at Parkside, you're going to vote at Parkside. East Franklin and the Firehouse, East Franklin Firehouse and Somerset Presbyterian Church, both of those you're going to vote in the same place you always voted. If you voted in these other places, then you're going to change. So Kingston Presbyterian Church, what is that? Winnefield Clubhouse, how do you pronounce that? And Beacon Hill Clubhouse. All of those are going to vote at the Bridgetown Firehouse. If you're in either Society Hill Clubhouse, you're going to vote at Consolata. If you're at Masjid at Ali Mosque on Cedar Grove, you're going to vote at Serapath. If you were at Quailbrook or Millstone Valley Firehouse, you're going to vote at the Community Center. If you voted at the Armory, you're going to vote at Parkside. And again, East Franklin and Somerset Presbyterian Church, you're going to vote where you always voted. The bottom line is, if it comes to a scramble at the end, you have your mail-in ballot. You can vote, you can provide that any of these locations. You don't have to go to the one where a sign that would be helpful. Now, when I say you're going to vote, that's if you want to hand in your mail-in ballot. You can go to those places to hand in your mail-in ballot. Unless you are handicapped in a way that prevents you from using either a mail-in ballot or provisional ballot, you will not be allowed to use a voting machine. Let me repeat that. Do not expect to use a voting machine unless you have a handicap that prevents you to use the mail-in ballot. They're not going to let you, they're not allowed to let you. That you can hand them your mail-in ballot, or if you've lost your mail-in ballot or never got one, you can use a provisional ballot, which basically looks like the mail-in ballot, but you're not going to use a voting machine. On election day, your three choices are to drop off a mail-in ballot at a voting place, to mail your mail-in ballot, or to use one of the drop boxes. And you can use a drop box that's anywhere in the county. You don't have to use a Franklin drop box, but you have to use a Somerset County drop box. You cannot use a Middlesex County drop box. If you've already done that, then I suggest you either ask for another mail-in ballot or that you use a provisional ballot that day. We're trying to minimize the people at the polls, so using the drop box or mailing it in is preferred. Now, there may be some confusion. The Supreme Court last night or yesterday had a ruling on Wisconsin not allowing them to, basically, there was a rule that if you mailed your ballot on time, but it didn't arrive for 3 days, that the ballot would be accepted. The Supreme Court said that is not allowable. In New Jersey, you're given 10 days. So if you mail in your ballot, it has to be postmarked on time by election day, but they can wait 10 days to receive it. Mr. Ramon, can you comment on whether that Supreme Court finding will change New Jersey law?
As you know, Mayor, the Supreme Court has been asked to weigh in on this a couple of times. The Wisconsin decision, the primary difference between that decision and what happened in New Jersey is the court essentially said that a federal court or a state court cannot step in and extend the counting deadline for votes absent an action by the legislature, because the federal constitution leaves to the legislatures the authority to make the rules with regards to elections, especially in presidential elections. So the difference between Wisconsin and New Jersey is pretty stark. The Wisconsin legislature has refused to meet, and I believe it has not met since either the end of March or early April. The Supreme Court commented on the fact that they did not meet, and that it was essentially the majority said that it was not for a federal or a state court to impose its sense of what is an appropriate voting policy absent action by the legislature. So the fundamental difference is that New Jersey has acted very proactively. They acted proactively with regards to the primary, and now with regards to the pandemic affected election this November. And as you outlined, Mayor, that process will take place according to New Jersey state law and according to the federal constitution, which required the legislature to do so.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So that ends my comments, Mr. Manager.
Mr. Mayor, I don't know if you took note of it, but Councilman Wright was actually in the attendee list, and I had him promoted to panelist, which clearly he's qualified for. And I don't know if you wanted to make it available for him to make comments.
Sure, Councilman Wright, do you have council comments? The committee reports. You're muted. And you're not visible to us.
He's on his phone.
He's muted.
May I add a note to my report? I neglected to mention something.
Sure.
All right. Yeah. So the two donations that the township is receiving, they were made possible by a commissioner in our Human Relations Commission. Just wanted to recognize Commissioner Venke and, of course, HRC Chairman Gary Rosenthal in making that all happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Wright, do you have any comments? You're muted.
Mr. Mayor, in talking with Councilman Wright, I don't believe he's actually, I think he's watching the meeting or monitoring the meeting, but not fully. He's working right now. So I don't know if he's actually able to respond to us.
He did indicate that he would be at work today, earlier this afternoon.
So, all right, then we will.
So then I will move on to my report then, Mr. Mayor.
Excellent. And the clerk can decide whether he is in attendance or not. Go ahead, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just to talk about some of the things that have already been talked about earlier, but first, before I do that, I owe one of you a sincere apology, and that would be Councilman Chase. Councilman Chase, I inadvertently left you off the distribution list for the Public Works Committee meeting, so I give you my assurance that Mr. Houck and I will reach out to you either tomorrow or Thursday to brief you on what we discussed and go over the agenda items with you. So
I wondered why I
figured you did.
So is that why I got it? Was it the C?
So yeah, that's probably why you got it, Councilwoman, and that's probably what happened. And I apologize, and I certainly will reach out to you in the morning and schedule a time where you and I can speak with Mr. Houck. But now, moving on to that, just also discussing some things were previously discussed. I'll share some screens here. Councilwoman Francois discussed the CDBG funding that is available through the CARES Act and CDBG for businesses in a certain area of town. The micro enterprise loan program is for those businesses in Census Tract 532 or Census Tract 533. This funding will be available through a lottery. Applications will be received for as long as the funding is available. We have $85,000 available with a maximum per business of $10,000. I encourage any business that falls within Census Tract 532 or 533 to look at the website. It's on the homepage of the township website, both in the spotlight and in the news. If you go to the website, it'll also show you a map of what Census Tract 532 and 533 is. It is basically the East Franklin. We commonly refer to it as the East Franklin area, comprising mostly businesses along the Hamilton Street and Somerset Street corridors from basically Franklin Boulevard to the New Brunswick line. So I encourage any business to take advantage of that if you meet the qualifications, so we can give some assistance through the CDBG program and the CARES Act. The next one I'd like to talk about, again, Councilwoman Francois mentioned our pumpkin parade that will be held on October 29th, Thursday, and Friday, October 30th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The recreation staff has done just a fantastic job. I know that there's a large number of decorated pumpkins, both by staff members in the recreation department and also by kids that came and decorated the pumpkins with the police department at the Community Relations Bureau building on Hamilton Street. This is an opportunity to do a drive-through, see all of the decorations that have been done thus far, and there will be more by the time Thursday rolls around. This is going to be a rain or shine event. And for the kids who come, there will be goodie bags at the end of the drive-through that will be handed out by staff. If it rains, I guess we're just going to put up a tent so that they can stay dry. But we're going to do it on Thursday and Friday. So everyone that would like to come out and see all the decorated pumpkins and the decorations that are being put up in the municipal complex, I encourage you to come out and take a look. And I believe that is going to be all that I have to report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. So we have the approval of the notes. I present the following minutes to the Township Council for approval. Township Council work session regular meeting of October 13th, 2020 at 7 p.m. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
You skipped something.
Yeah, you skipped the council discussion.
Okay, so those of you who said 8:12, you also went so thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I just one other thing for my report, and I almost forgot. I just looked at my current emails. Laura Desai was actually on the meeting earlier, but she was as an attendee and muted, and she has sent you an email to thank you for the recognition, and you can take a look at that email and comment when you have an opportunity.
Oh, yes, a very nice email thanking us for the honor, thanking the mayor and council. I will respond to that tomorrow. Thank you, Mr. Manager. So back to item number 9, council discussion items. Council year and calendar year 2020, the year we'd like to forget best practices inventory. Are you going to lead that, Mr. Manager?
I will. I think that all of so you certainly touched on it, and I think covered it probably better than we could any other way in your previous report. But I know that the best practices inventory has been distributed to all of council. And so if there were any questions of council, we did cover it in financial oversight. And I know Councilman Chase had some questions that I answered via email. But if there were any questions of any council members on the best practices inventory, I would do my best to answer them.
Hearing none. Okay, now we're on to the minutes. So the council minutes for work session regular meeting October 13th, 2020, 7 p.m. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any corrections, changes, spelling errors? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Barson,
Yes.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois,
Yes.
Councilman Galtieri,
Yes.
Mayor Kramer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Onijaka,
Yes.
Councilwoman Pruitt,
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella,
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Okay, approval of the warrants. Warrants in the amount of $2,966,044.22 on October 27th, 2020 are presented to Township Council for payment. Do you have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Anyone want to pull an item? Anyone have a question on an item? Madam Master Clerk.
Councilman Barson,
Yes.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois,
Yes.
Councilman Galtieri,
Yes.
Mayor Kramer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Onijaka,
Yes.
Councilwoman Pruitt,
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella,
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
So item number 13, well, item number 12 is second readings, ordinances on second readings. We have none. Item number 13 are ordinances on first reading, introduction. This is practice we do to let the town know that we are going to eventually consider an ordinance for passing. This is ordinance number 4334-20, ordinance amending the municipal code of the Township of Franklin County, Somerset, State of New Jersey, more particularly Chapter 180 fees, Article 1, Public Records, Section 180-3, available from the engineer. Change the fee for site plans to $9 per sheet. Foregoing ordinance is presented to Township Council for adoption and first reading, posting, and publication in accordance with law, public hearing, and final adoption at a virtual meeting of the Township Council to be held via WebEx on Tuesday, November 10th, 2020 at 7 p.m. Do we have a motion to introduce?
So moved.
And a second.
Seconded.
So basically, this is to get a copy of your site plan. It used to be $9 per site plan. Commercial installations often have multi-page site plans, so this was costing us money. This is basically to recoup our expenses. Any other comments? Hearing none, Madam Master Clerk.
Councilman Parson,
Yes.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois,
Yes.
Councilman Galtieri,
Yes.
Mayor Kramer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Oni Chaka,
Yes.
Councilwoman Pruitt,
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella.
Yes.
Item number 14, the consent agenda. Items A through K is listed on the consent agenda portion of this meeting and presented to the Township Council for adoption. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Anyone want to pull an item or have a question on an item? So if there are none, I will point out item K, Resolution 20-366, authorized grant application, local government emergency fund, CRF grant. That is the $890,000 grant from the federal government that I was talking about. In order to get it, one of the requirements is that we pass this resolution. Any other items? Madam Clerk.
Councilman Parson,
Yes.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois,
Yes.
Councilman Galtieri,
Yes.
Mayor Kramer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Oni Chaka,
Yes.
Councilwoman Pruitt,
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella.
Yes.
We have no items to be voted on separately. Old business, 2020 boards, committees, commissions, vacancies. Are there any nominations? Seeing and hearing none. We have no executive session. We have a motion to close.
So moved.
So moved.
And that's the motion in a second. All in favor of adjourning the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.